I got this linked, and this seems so freaking interesting to me. And if you guys know about 720 Zone, he makes like really, really great World of Warcraft videos. He apparently made the WoW bosses fight each other. So I thought it could be kind of fun to see which ones would win.
Can you make Herod fight Stitches? Yes, I can. We'll look at that matchup and several more in this video. And I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever received a more requested type of video than this one, than when I just happened to show a couple of boss v boss battles in recent videos. And so we're going to look at some of the boss abilities, and I'll explain some of the technical aspect of how this works and how accurate it is as we go. But the main thing is you can make your guess as to who's going to win each of these matchups, and then we'll watch the fights play out.
Okay.
So for our first matchup, this one's, I guess, sort of a gimme. We've got...
Oh, it's already going. I don't know. I don't think Herod would lose this.
Level 35 Stitches.
There's no way.
Menace of the Road in Duskwood versus Herod, the level
5
40
levels.
boss of the Armory in Scarlet Monastery. And this is like the Herod POV here. So I'm on a GM account controlling Herod as my pet. And I can see his abilities, which are Rushing Charge, which he does at the start of the match. And then he has an Enrage that kicks off at 50% health, and a Cleave. And he has a Whirlwind that doesn't show up as an ability here. It's only part of the scripted event when you fight him in the monastery. And as for Stitches, he's more simple. Many of these bosses simply have their regular melee or base attack.
I was going to say, Stitches doesn't have any spells at all, does he?
That's going to be the case for him. And as you can see, the level difference is just insurmountable here. The damage and armor values mean that Herod is hitting poor Stitches for around 140 and cleaving for over 200. And Stitches is only meleeing Herod for around 50 or 60 a shot. And so we speed this up.
Oh, yeah.
To the inevitable outcome. It's really no contest. Herod wins our first fight, and Stitches, as you can see, drops Stitches Femur, the white quality armor enhancing offhand. And okay, on to our second matchup. This one is going to be Princess
Theradras versus Roccor. I mean, if you look at the health value, she is a beefy NPC. 22k health versus Roccor's 11.
Theradras, the level 51 final boss of Maradon, versus Lord Roccor, the level 51 first boss of BRD. Or it kind of depends on the route you take in BRD or the way he's padding, but I consider him the first boss. Anyway, Princess here has 3 abilities: Repulsive Gaze, Boulder, her ranged attack, and Dustfield, her AoE that everyone just calls Fart. And as for Roccor, he's another simple boss with no special abilities, just his melee. And as we kick it off here, you can see I'm not letting Princess use her abilities on cooldown like you could, like with a hunter pet or any pet, by right-clicking and turning it on to an auto-cast. I'm just periodically clicking it. And I'm going to explain a bit more of why that is in our next fight. But as for this one, I'm not using Repulsive Gaze, her fear, because Roccor is immune. And
oh yeah, dude, armor actually matters a lot.
I'm not using her ranged Boulder Throw because Roccor is, of course, in melee range. And so I'm hitting Dustfield every 20 seconds, which is how she works in the normal encounter. And the ability itself lasts for 8 seconds. And as you'll see here, it hits Roccor pretty good for around like 140, 150 damage per tick. And her
it's also like, it's kind of unfair to Princess because she doesn't have her Thrash ability. There's a lot of the stuff that she does, because usually she would fart people away. And then when they're getting farted on, she builds up like a Thrash attack, which is like basically a Wind Fury. And that would be her big damage, basically.
Melee hits for like 50-ish HP. It's the darker orange of the numbers there. And then the ability, the Dustfield, is the yellow damage.
Yeah.
And we can see the hits from Roccor on Princess up here. He hits much harder. He's meleeing her for anywhere from between like 130 to 200, and sometimes critting for almost 400. So much higher, but slower melee. But as you can see, Princess's health pool is way, way higher than Roccor's.
Yeah, this is too big.
And the damage done by Dustfield is just enough to
it's actually kind of
eventually overcome Lord Roccor, and down he goes.
Actually a lot closer than I thought it would be with that health pool, but I guess it just shows that like armor is so strong.
And he's gonna drop his nice pre-60 starter shield.
Oppa.
And with that, we're on to our third matchup. And I showed this one in
Rattlegore versus, I don't know, Rattlegore hits like a fucking truck, excuse the language, but Krastenov does too as well. I feel like Krastenov would win.
Passing in my GM Powers video, and it's what prompted a lot of the comments I showed at the beginning of this one. And so when Zaryu watched that video, he stopped, and he and his chat were like really interested in it.
All right, guys, who wins this fight, Rattlegore or Krastenov?
I think Krastenov.
Who wins?
And how often they cast and other things, but it's still pretty good and pretty interesting.
Why do they attack so fast?
And again, that is just...
Okay, the attack speed is way different than normal. This isn't even a fair fight.
And then, like, I barely showed the fight, and it was kind of over real quick, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And so, like, kind of disappointing. But here's the deal. So first off, Rattlegore's abilities are a knockaway, an instant damage ability.
And a stun.
And War Stomp, a stun.
So actually, a lot of people think that Rattlegore is the really scary, dangerous NPC in Scholomance. But contrary to popular belief, it's actually the ads that are besides Rattlegore. Because what Rattlegore does is that he goes in and he stuns people. And then the ads, like the trash mobs, they pop sweeping strikes. And that's the big damage. So Rattlegore is more like the funnel for the ads to do big damage.
And Krastenov, the Busher, his abilities are, again, smaller screen here. He has a Rend that Rattlegore's immune to, and a damage spell called Backhand, and then he enrages at 50%. So first of all, here's the fight Zaryu saw, and I just glossed over it in that video. And I'm playing this in real time, and you can see it's just no contest. Butcher is just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Well, with this GM control of the mob, some abilities don't like properly follow the GCD and are just spammed. And that's the case with Rattlegore. He's just spamming both of his abilities non-stop, and Butcher's immune to the War Stomp, but the Backhand, which is Rattle's normal damage plus 30, is going off constantly, super fast for like 300 or 400 damage a tick. So like I said, that was disappointing, but we're going to show an accurate fight here in a second. But first, just for reference, here is, real quick,
Krastenov wins.
With no abilities, just raw auto attack.
I mean, if you go raw, Krastenov wins.
And these guys, you can see, it's a bit closer of a fight, but still, Rattlegore's melee is hitting Butcher.
Oh.
Again, here are the damage numbers for much more than Butcher is hitting Rattle. Again, up here. So same outcome. But okay, one...
What, it wasn't even close? Really? It wasn't even close at all. I thought the Enrage would for sure carry, but maybe he just has way more armor.
One more time, here is the real fight. As accurate
Okay, the real fight. With abilities, that's the Enrage as well, right?
Possible. I'm having Rattle use his knockaway damage ability every 20 seconds, which is what he does in the real Scholomance fight. And Butcher is using his backhand every 15 to 20 seconds, also which is how he works. And as you can see, it's unfortunately for the Butcher a similar outcome. He's tough for sure, but he just cannot overcome the much higher damage from Rattlegore. Now he does
Enrage.
Here we go, right here. He gets his Enrage after 50%. And you can see he turns red there, and he does start to hit a bit harder.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to be nearly enough. And so this methodology of figuring out how the actual fights work, and then adjusting or correcting for the timing of abilities as best I could, is how I did all the fights in this video. And you might ask, well, why not just go fight in the dungeon and only MC one of the bosses? But I wanted to see their abilities on my pet bar, and then also ensure that like being controlled by the GM wasn't giving one or the other some advantage.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool way to do it. I really thought that Butcher would do a lot more damage, but damn, you can't send a Butcher to kill a skeleton? Come on, Guzu. I mean, yeah, shoot, mate. Fair enough, bro. Fair enough.
Mob. So I elected to have both mobs controlled by 2 GM accounts. And so our definitive champ is Rattlegore, and we're on to our next match.
Onyxia versus Kazzak. No, Kazzak loses. I mean, Kazzak does have an Enrage, but there's no people for him to kill. You could argue that if we were in Onyxia's lair, then Kazzak would win, because he would just, after 3 minutes, Kazzak spams Shadow Bolt volleys. But there's no mobs to kill, unless he can aggro those little wolves in the background. Onyxia wins.
And we're going to go big this time. This is 2 raid bosses. It's going to be Onyxia, the original final boss of WoW, versus Kazzak, the one of the original 2 vanilla world bosses. And
yeah, look at the health pool. Yeah, but what you don't realize. Okay, so the reason why Kazzak has such a low health pool is because he actually has an unofficial enrage timer. After 3 minutes of not killing Kazzak, he starts spamming Shadow Bolt volleys, and each time he kills a person, he gains a percentage of his health back. So he doesn't have a lot of health, but he has like an enrage timer, essentially. But it won't really matter against Onyxia, I guess.
As we get this started, I'll explain the abilities. So Onyxia has a tail sweep, which
this is not a
GM, yeah, but in the front. Then has her main ability here, Flame Breath, which is the big like 3 to 4k hit the front in a cone. And then these other 2 abilities don't really come into play. These are her breaths or deep breaths that she'd do during phase 2 up in the air. And I believe there are different versions for her different positions above the raiders in the normal encounter. And so for Kazzak, when MC'd, there's no abilities that show up. And I was confused by this and researched a bit and found that, his abilities, which he has a couple of ranged shadow bolts, a T-clap, a cleave, a mana drain that kills the players when their mana's drained, and then his main ability where he heals when a raider dies. I found that those aren't normal creature abilities that show up on the bar when you MC the creature. They're more like script-driven abilities that only show up under certain conditions at certain times, and these don't transfer to an MCer. So anyway, long story to say that Kazzak is only going to melee, and I did take Onyxia separately to the Blasted Lands to fight Kazzak in the normal encounter. But she's immune to most of what Kazzak does, and the rest of the abilities would affect multiple raid members, which doesn't really apply. So our story is that Ani here is meleeing Kazzak for around
He's way too strong.
7 to 800, and periodically flame breathing for 3,000 or 4,000. And Kazzak is meleeing for around 500 hit. And
500?
as you can see, they have drastically different health pools. Kazzak a little under 400k, and Ani at about 1.1 million.
Okay.
And so it's Onyxia with the clear advantage over this sort of somewhat gimped version of Kazzak, because he's designed to be much more dangerous to a large group if they don't kill.
Yeah, that's why he's the most griefable world boss, because back on when I played on a bunch of private servers and we would have world boss wars, essentially it would be like my guild versus a few other guilds on the server. I played on Chronos 2. I played a warrior, and they would be literal hit squads from the other guilds. So let's say we would go pull Kazzak and we would get him really, really far down. What the other guild on the server would do, they would then log into their level 1 alts that they had parked in Blasted Lands, go in and just die to Kazzak. They would just run in their alts and die. And everybody would just heal Kazzak all the way up to max health. And then he would reset, because he would start doing the AoE explosion of the enrage, right? Like the AoE shadow bolts. And then you would have to reset. So the whole thing with Kazzak became okay, we're gonna nuke down their raid, kill the opposite faction's raid, and then also have a hit squad to kill their level 1 alts before they aggro Kazzak. I got the Empyrean Demolisher, by the way. Amazing weapon. Sorry, but dude, it's a cool boss.
Kill him quickly.
Yeah.
And as we'll see in our next fight, or I think it's going to be the one after
Serpent's
this
time.
one,
What's up, man?
these raid battles take a long
We got a game developer in the chat. I see a game developer, little studio in the chat.
time, which initially surprised me, but then I realized, these bosses are designed to be DPS by 30 raiders blasting away and doing DPS to a single player target, a tank. So when you pit them against each other, the damage they do versus the damage they're designed to absorb means the fight's going to last a long, long time.
Yeah.
So anyway, the outcome here,
it won't even be close. But again, Kazzak is a gimmick boss. He is a gimmick boss.
Really is no contest. Onyxia has way too much health and does way more damage than Kazzak, so he's defeated. And what does he drop here? It's a bunch of stuff. Look at that, 173 gold.
Come on.
And there is the ED, big
Oh, that's the one I got! Dude, I had that weapon on my warrior. Yeah, it has a 20% attack speed proc on it. It's so good. Yeah, I got that. That's a big drop, by the way.
hand mace.
Look at it. Yeah, 2.8 speed, 175 top end damage. Chance on hit increases your attack speed by 20% for 10 seconds.
Okay, so our next match, we're going to bring things back down.
Mutanus versus Edwin. But Edwin has some lackeys. And Mutanus has a mind control. I think Edwin VanCleef wins, is no contest.
To normal size, we've got an early dungeon final boss
Edwin
matchup. It's gonna
wins.
be Mutanus, the Devourer, the level 22 last boss from Wailing Caverns versus Edwin VanCleef, level 21, and the last boss from Dead Mines. And again, these are two pretty simple melee-only bosses that would be much more
yeah, Edwin would spawn ants
complex
normally.
in their real environments, right? Like Mutanus comes after an escort in
Edwin
Wailing
wins.
Caverns and a couple rounds or waves of mobs, I think. And VanCleef is much more tough because he spawns with 2 stealthed adds and then 2 more show up halfway through.
Yeah, fun fact about Edwin VanCleef. So, as 720 Zone said here, in the beginning he has 2 ads you can kill, and he spawns the 2 extra pair of ads at specifically 50% HP. So, if you actually stun him through that percentage, if you go from 51, stun him, and then he's 49% afterwards, he doesn't spawn the ads. So you could essentially skip the ads altogether with a War Stomp or a Hand of Justice or something like that. It's quite cool.
But when we strip all of that away, you get just a good old-fashioned beat-em-up brawl. And this one's close. You can see the health ticking down there.
Oh, it's really close.
And as we get to the end,
no,
by a hair, it's going to be Mutanus pulling this out.
No!
And when it's that close, you could say, well, it's just RNG with crits that can change things. But I did let this one play out 3 separate times, and the outcome was always the same.
I'm actually surprised about that. I guess Mutanus is 1 level higher, so that makes the difference.
And we're actually watching the closest one here. So
Damn.
The early dungeon champ is Wailing Caverns.
I thought he would
over
win.
Dead Mines. Okay, next up we have Battle of the Undead and
Rivendare wins. I mean, come on. No, Baron Rivendare wins this. Again, there's a lot of interesting mechanics in this play here as well. Dark Master Gandling has the teleport where you teleport into the room, you gotta kill a bunch of skeletons and then open the door, go back into the room and kill him, right? Baron Rivendare has all those skeletons that he summons that then converges upon the players, and if you don't kill them, then they heal him. And also he has like a pulsing aura that does damage around him, right? Baron Rivendare wins easy.
Game dungeon bosses. Make your guesses on this one. It's going to be Baron Rivendare level 62 versus Dark Master Gandling level 61. Strat Undead versus Scholomance. And Baron is going to be meleeing only, but he also has his unholy aura that will tick.
Yeah.
And Gandling has a curse that weakens the target. And he has Arcane Missile spell that he won't cast because he's going to be in melee range. Okay, we've got to get this one started right away because as you can see, Baron's aura begins ticking as soon as I make these guys hostile. And so here we go. You can see Baron's melee hits on Gandling are, again, the orange, and then the ticking unholy aura is the yellow.
What? Wait, he has... Are you kidding me? I didn't think the health difference was that big. I guess it's because, like, Baron Rivendare is a lot more of, like, a punishing boss fight, right? He has that aura, and he has the skeletons. There's a lot more going on in the Baron fight.
And we can watch Gandling's melee up here, and then we can see, eventually, Gandling's curse go out.
And look at the damage.
Which transforms Baron and lowers his strength a bit. And this is an interesting fight because Gandling has a much higher health pool than Baron.
Look at that.
Baron is doing much more DPS due to the combination of the Unholy Aura and his melee. And so we're going to speed this up a bit. And as we get toward the end of the fight...
Oh, it's close!
We can see... Look at how close this ends up being.
Yeah, wow.
But it's the Baron who overpowers Gandling.
I mean, dude, if this was an actual in-lore fight... Baron would win so fast. It's not even close. Some dork necrophile teacher versus a Gigachet horseman of death. I mean, Mofford said it right. Let's be honest.
And was able to claim the... There it is, the Devout Crown.
This is really fun. I like this.
Witchblade from him. All right, our next fight is going to be a little different. We'll call this one... We're going to...
Oh! Lady Sylvanas Windrunner versus Magni. I actually don't remember their abilities, but I just looking at them, yeah, Magni wins 100%. He wins. I think Sylvanas has some AoE stuff, and Magni has like a Stormbolt and such, right? So I think Magni wins 100%.
I call this Horde versus Alliance, or maybe Undercity versus Ironforge, because it's going to be Lady Sylvanas Windrunner, leader of the Undead, or the Forsaken, versus King of Ironforge, Magni Bronzebeard. And again, these are melee-only faction bosses. And so right away, we get started, and you can see that, like, what the heck is going on? The health bars aren't even moving, even though I can see both of these taking a bit of damage. But this is the ultimate, example of, or magnification of the issue I talked about with Ani and Kazzak. So these are world faction bosses that are designed for, or potentially made to be attacked by... You know, it could be an opposite faction raid or raids of 100 or more players, and they need to survive a reasonable amount of time. So they're going to have insane amounts of armor and massive health pools, and they're also not going to be hitting super hard that they one-shot players. So when pitted against each other, their damage is very small, and their health and armor is very high, and so we get a fight that would last absolutely forever. And actually, I let this one go on for 20 minutes, just like this.
Okay, I mean, you can look at the health, though. I think she has a lot less health, and she's lost a little bit more than he did, so Magni actually wins.
To the point where, finally, there was a little move here, and Lady Sylvanas' health bar And so that, combined with her lower health pool and the fact that their damage seems similar, lead me to, with apologies to my Horde friends, I declare King Bronzebeard the winner of this one. But
I mean, Magni's is so much more aura as well, let's be honest.
Did not let the entire thing play out for hours and hours. Okay, one more small, very quick fight before we get to our...
Gazz'uz versus a Pillager. That's actually a really funny one. I think Gazz'uz would win if he had the Void Walker, but if not, then the Pillager wins.
Final raid boss showdown, and this one we're going to call the NA Hardcore server battle. And you might know our hardcore servers are named for infamous hardcore killers, and I play on Defias Pillager, which is the name of the level 14 caster in Westfall. And the other NA server is...
Yeah, Gazz'uz is actually an elite. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, he's an elite in game, so he clears for sure.
Skull Rock, which is the brutal cave full of warlock casters, and at the end is the...
Is he? Oh, no, you're right. No, yeah, I'm confusing something. No, Gazz'uz is not an elite. There is a mob in that cave that is an elite, but Gazz'uz is not. Yeah, there is another orc in the cave that can spawn that is an elite, but Gazz'uz is just the 14, like, named mob, I suppose.
Level 14 caster, Gazz'uz here, and this is like a blink and you'll miss it fight. We let them cast on each other.
He just have more health though. Yeah,
there they go. And so the champion of the NAHC server showdown is Gazz'uz or Skull Rock, and congrats to him on the linen cloth from this poor Defias Pillager. And with that, we're on to our final battle. Two hard-hitting, like absolute badass bosses from Naxxramas.
This is funny, right? Because Patchwerk is like the big tank and spank boss of Nax. But Razuvious, you need to mind control his ads and then use a bone shield to take reduced percentage damage because he hits so hard. I think Razuvious wins. And I don't even think it's gonna be close. Because there's a specific mechanic where you actually cannot tank him because he does that much damage. You have to use a bone shield.
This is Patchwerk versus Instructor Razuvious. Both of these guys have huge damage and massive health pools. Razuvious does an unbalancing strike that hits super hard and a disrupting shout that's an AoE mana burn, and so it won't come into play here. And then Patchwerk, he'll just be meleeing like normal. He'd also do a hateful strike to off tanks, which aren't part of this fight, of course. But here we go. And again, watching Patchwerk's hits on Razuvious, we see
9K. Here,
and you can see how extremely fast he's
7K.
Meleeing. He's hitting for, between 500 and 700 a whack, and critting for double that every so often.
Oh, wait, actually.
And Razuvious, his attack speed is actually very, very slow, but when he does connect, he hits extremely hard, like anywhere from 6 to 9K. And that's because, of course, he's supposed to be tanked by one of his mind-controlled students. No player is going to last long against those hits. And as you can see, every 30 seconds, when it comes up, he'll do his balancing strike, and that hits poor Patchwerk for like 25 to 30K or more, and you'll see that as the yellow numbers. There's one there.
32K, yeah.
And so he ends up doing just a ton of damage, and it's a good fight that ends up going along for over 13 minutes in real time.
I knew it.
But unfortunately for Patchwerk, nothing can overcome that crazy Razuvious damage. And he
literally needs to be tanked by like a specific mechanic, right? Patchwerk would probably hit harder with a lot more people though, because Hateful Strike.
He claims the champ of Naxxramas and is able to claim Patchwerk's 134 gold
Severance.
Shoulder token, and then the axe Severance. And that is our boss battles.
That was so fun.
If this was interesting, I'll do more of these. I'd like to hear what matchups you think you'd like to see, or other ideas, right? We could be doing Razuvious clearing all the way through MC or anything like that. There's lots of possibilities. As always, I really appreciate you guys watching and subscribing. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
That was pretty fun. Dude, that was a fun little video to watch. Hell yeah. Razuvious is a machine? Yeah, he is. Rag versus KT. Ragnaros versus Kel'Thuzad. I mean, they wouldn't even be close because Kel'Thuzad is like a much later phase, right?
John Cena, hello Gazz'uz and chat.
John Cena, hello. Hello to you too, Wingardium Leviosa. Thank you for the 6 months. Check out 720 Zone, guys. He makes a lot of really fun, interesting, unique videos. Like, all of his videos are so cool on this channel. Like, he does, like, different, like, explorations of the world, like, hardcore stuff, different, like, theory crafting thing. He's just an awesome channel. Check it out there, guys.